This is homework set 12, factoring trinomials. Let's see what we can do factoring this one. I got 24r squared plus 26r plus 5. I notice there are no r's all the way through, right? No r over here. And there's no number common to 24, 26, and 5. So let's just set up our two parentheses, sets of parentheses, anticipating we can do this. Now, first up is, how do we get this 24? Now, the r squared, I know I'm going to get with an r and an r. I could go ahead and write that in here. But how am I going to get this 24? Well, let's see. In 24, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write all the ways that I can get 24 with a multiplication. 24 times 1, and because 24 is even, I can cut in half and double, 12 and 2, and then cut in half and double, I'll get 6 and 4. And now, I just know this one. I don't get them all this way, but I can get close. I can still cut in half and double. Yeah, actually, this works. 3, 8. All right, so here are all the ways I can get 24. Now, this 5, well, we're lucky here. That's prime, so there's only one way I can get that 5, and that is 5 and 1. So what I need to do here is find some combination of these numbers here and 5 and 1 to put into here that's going to make this thing work. All right, now, here's how I always do this. I don't know which pair it's going to be, right? When I start, I don't know if it's going to be 24 and 1, like 24 and 1, and then 5 and 1, or 1 and 5. I don't know. This is the method of good guesses. And I'm always going to start like this. I like to start with the pair of numbers that are closest together. It doesn't always work, but it often does. So I'm going to start here. You know, the 6 and 4, out of these factors here, these are the closest together, 6 and 4. So I don't know if it'll work or not, but let's give it a try. So I'm going to try 6r and 4r. Now the question is, what do I do with this 5 and the 1? Do I put the 5 here and the 1 here, or the 5 here and the 1 here? Well, I don't know until I give it a try. So, but I can get an idea here. What if I put the 5 over here? What would I get? When I multiply, I'll get a 30r. And if I put the 1 here, I'll get a 4r. Now I'm thinking, oh, a 30 and a 4, I can get a 26 out of that. It seems like it might work. Let's try it. So I'll put the 5 over here, the 1 over here, but now here's what I notice. That sign right there, let's get the signs right, that's a plus sign. So these two numbers, the 1 and the 5, have to have the same sign, and that sign would be that plus sign. Now if I put that plus sign in here, here's what happens. Now the inner product is 4r, the outer product is 30r, and when I add those together, I get 34r. That is not the 26r I was hoping for. So I'm not going to give up on the 1 and the 5. I'm just going to switch their positions. So I will write 6r and 4r. Now I'll put the 5 over here and the 1 over here. Now, is there a chance for this? Look at the inner product and the outer product. I get 20r and 6r. I can get a 26 out of that if I get the signs right. Now remember, this sign here is positive, so both the 5 and the 1 have that plus sign. Now does this work? What do you get? The outer product is 6r plus 20r. Looks like we've got it. So I got the factored form, and I got lucky here because I started with the pair closest together, 6 and 4, and they just happened to work. Now, if this one here did not work, right, if I multiply all this out and I don't get back to the original, well, I've tried the 5 and the 1 in both positions, so I would have to switch out of the 6 and the 4. Maybe I would have to try the 3 and the 8, or the 12 and the 2. In 16, let's try to factor 12r squared plus 19r plus 4. Now, I notice there's no common factor, right? There's no r in each one of these terms, and there's no number that divides evenly into 12, 19, and 4. So let's go ahead and write our two sets of parentheses, anticipating we can do this. Now, first up, how are we going to get this 12? Well, I'm going to write down the factors. Here's how I could get 12. 12 times 1, cut in half and double. 6 times 2, cut in half and double. 3 times 4. And then, how are we going to get this 4? Let's try it. 4 I could get with 4 times 1, 2 times 2. So let's start here. Now, I'm going to start here with those numbers in the first positions. So what am I going to use over here? Which pair? Well, as you know, I like to start with the pair that's closest together. 3 and 4 are closer together than the 6 and the 2. So I'm going to start with the 3 and the 4. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll see. So I go with the 3R and 4R. Now, let's try the second positions. What are we going to get in that second position? Well, it's going to be one of these, right? 4 and 1 or 2 and 2. Now, I know just by looking at this, it cannot be the 2 and the 2. It cannot be 2 and 2. Okay, I'll make a point of that. It cannot be 2 and 2. And here's how I know. 2 and 2. One of the 2's would have to go here, and one of the 2's would have to go here. Now, if I put a 2 here, you see I've got a 4 and a 2. There's a 2 common. There's a common factor here. And look at the original. There is nothing in common, and I can't suddenly have something pop up in common. So I can't put a number in here that gives me a common factor with the 4. So I know the 2 and the 2 can't work. So the only way it can work now is with the 4 and the 1. And with the 4 and the 1, the 4 can't go here for that same reason, right? 4 and 4 would have a 4 in common. So if this is going to work at all, if this combination 3R and 4R is going to work at all, we would have to do this. The 4 would have to go over here. The 1 would have to go here. And now what about the signs? Well, that 4 is positive. So these two numbers, when you multiply to get a positive number, have to have the same sign. And that sign is that middle plus sign. So I'll put a plus here and a plus here. Now run a quick check. I'll multiply through, right? 3R times 4R is the 12R squared. And then the outer product, 3R times 1 is 3R, so plus 3R. The inner product is 16R, looking good. And the last, 4 times 1 is 4. And I can see right here I'm going to get that 19R. So it looks good. So here is our factored form. And again, we got lucky because I just happened to pick the pair that was closest together, which worked. If this did not work, I'd go with the 6 and the 2, and if that didn't work, I'd have to go with the 12 and the 1. And if that didn't work, I'd just finally say not factorable using integers. Number 17, can you see this? You got a 4, a 14, and a 30. They're all even numbers, so there's a 2 common. Now there's no A in each one, so the greatest common factor is a 2. So let's take out that 2. Now what goes in? So just divide, right? 4 divided by 2 is 2, so I'll get 2A squared, and then 14 divided by 2 is 7, plus 7A. Negative 30 divided by 2 is minus 15. So now we're going to deal with that trinomial. So let's write our two sets of parentheses, anticipating we can do this. Now, this 2A squared, this 2A squared, only one way to get that to 2's prime, so I'll have to use a 2A and an A. And this 15 here, the 15, that's not too bad because there's only 2 ways to get it. 15 and 1, 5 and 3. Now, which one are we going to use? You know, I'm going to do what I always do. I'll start with the pair that's closest together. So I'm going to use the 5 and the 3. Now I just got to figure out where to put them. By that I mean, do I put the 5 here and the 3 here? Or do I put the 5 here and the 3 here? So let's analyze this. What if I put the 5 here and the 3 here? All right, now just do this in your head. Do the multiplications in your head. If I put the 5 here, I get a 5A, and the 3 here, I get a 6A. Well, a 5A and a 6A, a 5 and a 6, I can't get a 7 out of that. So switch them up. What if I put the 5 here and the 3 here? So run that multiplication. 5 times 2 is a 10. 3 times 1 is a 3. A 10 and a 3, I can get a 7 out of that if I get the signs right. So let's try this. 2, parentheses, we'll get 2a and a, and then here's what I was going to do. I was going to put the 5 over here, the 3 here, and now I notice that this is a minus sign. So these two numbers, the 3 and the 5, have to have opposite signs. So here's how I figure it out. I put this middle plus sign with the bigger product. Now here's what I mean. The inner product is 3a. The outer product is 10a. This one's bigger. All right, so what I'm going to do is with the bigger product, I'm going to put that middle sign. So I'm going to put this plus sign with the bigger product. Now, that will give me the bigger one, right? There's 10 minus 3 is the 7. And we've got it. And that's the end of these 3 problems here in homework set 12.